Today, ladies and gentlemen, I will be playing what I like to think are some of the most fear-induced FNAF games I could find. With 4 games and each getting more scary until we reach the scariest FNAF game of the bunch. I'm pretty excited for this one, so without further ado, let's hop straight into the video. So let's get into our first game of the video. This is called Birthday at Freddy's. The title screen alone is enough to make anyone shit their pants. Why is he? Oh, she's moving. Freddy! We get a look at Freddy, who is just aura farming, I can't lie, in this opening sequence. But yeah, this game is something that I've actually never experienced in a FNAF game, so without further ado, let's just hop straight into it. Right, so we begin this game with a tutorial, and thankfully the game goes out of its way to tell us what we need to do. Because if I hadn't got this tutorial, I would be so confused. But anyways, this is the main gist of the game. We have a flashlight and a computer, and we also have a generator placed inside the room we are in. What we're going to have to do is go onto our PC and start to look for animatronics. Wait, look, you say? Well, the thing about this place is it doesn't have operating cameras. Instead of having a camera system, it has a motion detecting system. And you can't even see the motion. All you can hear is the... No, that's not the stage. Animatronics, quote unquote, because I don't even know what this sounds like. So this place went, okay, we have a night guard, but let's just not give him cameras. Who on earth decided this was a good idea? But enough of that aside, we have a computer system that is basically just an audio system. Kinda like FNAF 6 in a way. In the office, there's 2 doors, left to right, and then behind us is where I mentioned before is the generator. Everything seems fine, and then phone guy calls us. He tells us that, hey, you know, welcome to this new place, yada yada yada, don't f this up. No, he literally says this. This is quoted.
Yeah, basically don't let Freddy and friends into the office and you should be fine. I don't know if you're covered under warranty yet, but if you f this up, expect a letter in the mail.
Alright, bet. So let's just try not to do that. I'm gonna try my best here because I don't know what I'm doing. My first instinct was, okay, let's go around the room and see what we got. So the generator is very strange. You have to crank this thing, and by the way, it takes you 5 days to crank the generator to its full power. If I'm gonna be real, this is gonna be a massive problem for this run, but for now, it's not too bad. We have the generator and then the animatronics, which for night 1, we only get to see Chica and Bonnie. Chica and Bonnie are a little strange. They only appear at our left and right door. Using the camera system doesn't really do much, as the audio we're hearing isn't actually their audio, or it could be, but I'm pretty sure it's Freddy's audio, but I'll get into that a tad bit later. Right now, all we have is Chica and Bonnie, and these 2 animatronics will appear at our doorways. The thing is, everything sounds simple, however, with the generator and how slow this thing is to wind, it actually makes the night really tense. I have nothing right now, bro. I have nothing. Oh! Oh! Bro, I gotta wind. I did end up seeing Chica at the very end of night 1, and oh my, she looks terrifying. Thankfully though, as I saw Chica and closed the door, that was pretty much it for our night 1. We then go straight into our first 8-bit level, and why does the purple guy have 1 tooth? I'm not gonna even ask or really question why this is, but he also has this really huge hand, as if he's like begging for money. But anyways, we get to go around the pizzeria and check on all the animatronics, which look pretty lifeless, and for some reason there's actually someone in the place. If we go toward the right of the 8-bit level, we find a green person who tells us go ahead and fix the people, William. Where's this leading me to?
William, here are the parts.
Hey, what? I also find the voice of the green person hilarious. But anyways, after we go ahead and place the gears inside the animatronics, this begins night 2. In this night, we have a new mechanic, being the cupcake. The cupcake is a piece of shit, as it's going to drain our power. The cupcake is deployed by Chica and will end up going toward the vent system inside our office. If we see the cupcake in the vent, we have to flash until it goes away. And if we don't do this, then our power is basically gone. With this new addition, night 2 is a tad bit more difficult. Can't lie, as soon as my power began to run out, I got pretty stressed because Chica and Bonnie are a lot more aggressive and they actually will appear multiple times in this night. So I can't just sit back and, fiddle with my thumbs, because if I do that, well, Bonnie's gonna come toward me and eat me. So let's not do that. The best thing to do is, in my opinion, go toward the generator and keep that wounded as much as possible. We are yet to deal with any other animatronic beside Chica and Bonnie, and if the cupcake is in the office, it makes a really loud sound, which means I know where it is. You can't hide from me, you piece of shit. But yeah, by using and I guess abusing the generator, I got through night 2 quite nicely. And this begins night 3, and I'm gonna be honest, this one's gonna be quite different. We now have to say hi to Freddy, who is the big bad in this game. How Freddy works is in the camera system, or I should say the sound system because there's no cameras, we can hear a sound. This sound is belonging to Freddy, who will make a weird distorted sound through the camera. If we hear the sound, we have to listen, and this will push him back toward the front stage. If Freddy gets too close toward the office, we are in danger, because if Freddy gets in the office, it's game over. And finally, everything is starting to click. We have Freddy in the cameras, Chica and Bonnie to our left and right, and the cupcake in the vent system. In all honesty, night 3 is a pain because having to deal with Freddy and also keep track of my power was really something. And by the end of the night, by the 3 to 6 AM mark, my power was literally running out whilst I was having animatronics in either hallway. Miraculously, I did not perish. I somehow kept the power on and managed to fend Chica and Bonnie off. But Freddy was a different story because when Freddy appeared in the camera, I was confused. I just kept my red dot on Freddy and this calmed him down. It was pretty close. My power was stuck at about 1 to 2 bars, which was pretty much at the verge of it completely going off. So we now get another post-night section with, again, the green guy and the purple guy. We again go grab the gear parts, go toward the animatronic, fix them up, and that's pretty much it. There's not really much more to say than that.
Fix it, William. I'm dealing with your shit.
But the guy just said, I'm tired of dealing with this shit. However, this time, the green guy is kind of tweaking out. He kind of starts swearing at William, I believe. And it's like, well, buddy, chill out, man. I don't know what the f I'm doing, but just chill out, man. Just chill. But yeah, we move then into night 4, which is again gonna be extremely tough and is the exact same as night 3. However, the animatronics are a little bit more aggressive. So basically, I would have to keep tabs on my power at all times, and this was one of the most important parts of the whole night. Keeping that power high as much as I can allowed me to fend off Chica and Bonnie. With the monitor, I just kept a red dot on Freddy. I didn't really know exactly if I was doing the right thing, but it seemed to work. And when the cupcake went into my office, I just flashed it with my light. Overall, night 4 was pretty jolly, and I would beat it pretty comfortably and move into night 5. Come on, wind, just wind. If we get through this, we get through this. If we don't, we don't. If we get through this, we get through this. If we don't... Oh, you f*** me, man. Come on. Ding, ding, ding. I'm the winner. I am the winner. That's right. I am the winner. Let's go. Night 5. Oh, yeah, we're guys, weird. But somehow I managed to stay afloat and get through night 4. And then we would move into night 5, the final night in the game. Moving into night 5, we strangely do not get a post-night section, so I assume the story of the green person and the purple guy is no more. But anyways, night 5 is the toughest night in the game, as every single animatronic is out to get us. I will have to be extremely conservative with my power, as if I start using too much, I will not be able to fend off Bonnie and Chica. Freddy is also super aggressive and will go from room to room, meaning I have to keep that red dot on him the whole night. I also realized that I've been actually using the computer wrong. When I'm not using the computer, I can turn it off and this will actually save me more power. For some reason, I always kept the computer on, even when I was going to crank the generator. But now I will turn it off and be able to save a little bit more power. I know I'm pretty stingy with it, but I have to be. Night 5 was pretty stressful, and saying that, I would make it to 5 AM on my first attempt. However, I made a pretty huge error. I was cranking the generator and assuming that nothing was in my doors. However, as I was doing this, Bonnie had already been at the door, so when I went back to go check on Bonnie, it was clearly too late. Oh my god, he's like right here, man. Good. Oh my f***ing days! Oh my, 4 AM, bro. Oh. I then had a break off this game, and a couple days later I would return to go through night 5. This time though, something felt right. I just had a feeling I would beat it. Honestly, this run was quite smooth. I managed to keep Freddy quite far from the office, and Bonnie and Chica were pretty predictable as they both appeared pretty much right after the other. I always kept that generator going and managed to turn off my power on the computer whenever I wasn't using it. All things considered, this night was a lot better, and I can't lie, it wasn't too hard to beat. I actually got through it on my first attempt on that day, which was quite an achievement if you ask me. Oh, f***. Yes! Yes! Oh, let's go! That's right. Get that shit. Fuck you, Freddy. Fuck you. I win! I win! After that, we would get the final screen saying the end, and we get to see the crew being Bonnie, Freddy, and Chica. And pretty much that is it for the game. There's no like other sections, or there's a custom night, but I hadn't actually gone ahead and played it. There's no extras, so that's pretty much it for Birthdays at Freddy's. Anyways, with that, let's move into our next game. Alrighty, welcome on to our next game here. This is Project Fredbear Reboot Survival Mode. This game is a unfinished game. It only has a demo state. However, it is still a terrifying experience, and I'm gonna stop yapping. We're gonna hop straight into this absolutely beautiful game. Righty, so we hop into the game, and already this atmosphere alone is giving me the shit. I really love the atmosphere. It feels off-putting, but at the same time, it feels a little bit familiar. I was very confused as I had no idea what I was really doing. I briefly touched this game last year, I believe, and I never made a video on it as I really struggled with the mechanics. However, this time around, I knew a little bit about how the game would play as I already had a little bit of experience. So with that said, I went straight toward the office as this place seemed to be the only place I could actually survive in. Once we got into the office, thankfully I found a flashlight, which would make our lives 10 times easier as now I could actually see what the f I was doing. However, this newfound sense of freedom or safeness was not going to last long, as in no time the animatronics would begin to roam the pizzeria. Dinosaur? Dinosaur. That's Dinosaur Bonnie, bro. That's Dinosaur Bonnie. What do I do? What the f do I do? I went onto the cameras, genuinely scared out of my mind, and then I began to see Bonnie move in its area. I was like, okay, that's not happening. So I managed to go around to the left side of the office to get a little peek and see where I could find Bonnie. However, I wouldn't find him for a little bit as the animatronics seemed to activate later on in the night, which I am complaining. I'd rather that than them activate earlier. But yeah, I stayed put and just kind of relaxed, and that would all change when I saw Bonnie. When I saw Bonnie, he didn't just run at me. He stood there doing some like dinosaur scream and then began to charge toward me. Whoa! Oh fuck, yeah, he's going in the vent. How do I do this? After hearing that, I genuinely almost alt F4'd. I was actually shocked hearing a dinosaur in a FNAF game. But with that said, I closed the door, just barely evading Bonnie's pursuit. However, looking to my left, Freddy began to sneak into my vent, and I was like, what is going on? Freddy does this weird thing where he wraps around, and it's a bit strange. He kind of pauses in the hallway before he gets into the vents. And when Freddy gets into the vent, it's pretty much game over as he can go straight into your office. However, I found a way to actually have Freddy not do this. If you keep opening and closing the door, he actually gets baited, so you can kind of keep Freddy in this one position where he's kind of stuck, and it's pretty funny. But as I was doing this method, I heard Freddy begin to speak, and it seemed that he actually has some form of personality. What's that? So that he just spoke. Freddy just spoke. He's like, "Oh, I don't deserve this." You can hear him like groaning and wishing that he wasn't in this situation, and I kinda felt bad for my boy. But in all honesty though, he's trying to kill me, so I'm gonna close the door. Tough shit. But with that said, I was actually in a great spot. 4 AM would arrive and I was feeling quite confident. Things were swell. That all changed on the 5 AM mark, as I was almost done with the game, as at this rate I hadn't seen anyone beside Bonnie and Freddy. However, now it was clear that there was other animatronics, and Foxy would gracefully say hello to me. In that I would hear a dinosaur sound, him going into the vent, and me being Foxy's lunch. This all took about 10 seconds to happen, so I was quite put off guard, and yeah. This was the end of my first attempt, so we would move into my second go. This time I did the same thing. I went to the office and managed to kind of get things set up, and I was pretty happy. It was 2 AM and all things were good, until I heard a sound. The sound was accompanied by heavy metal footsteps, and my confusion was starting to grow. That all was very much shown to me as in about 5 seconds, I saw what appeared to be a endoskeleton. What is that? Yeah, I don't know, man. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm kind of tripping, but the endoskeleton seems to have an eye in the middle of its head, and this was very off-putting because which animatronic looks like this in FNAF? I've never seen anything like this. And then quite quickly, the endo would take me out as I wouldn't be able to close the door in time. We then move into attempt 3, and this one was pretty much the same. I tried getting toward the other side of the pizzeria, seeing if I could perhaps camp and, you know, not get jump scared. But I mean, if the office wasn't safe, clearly the other side of the pizzeria wouldn't be any safer. For some reason, in the men's restroom, you can see a poster which has the Those Nights at Fredbear's like picture. The fuck is this? Oh shit. That's a Those Nights at Fredbear's reference. FNAF games referencing FNAF games. It also has it like crossed out, which I'm pretty sure that this is a reference to Those Nights at Fredbear's. I don't know why it's crossed out. If someone knows, please let me know in the comments, because I have no idea at all. But yeah, after this, I would move around the pizzeria, actually exploring, and I also saw Foxy's Pirate Cove, and his eyes were beaming white. Yeah, so I dipped. I was not messing with this thing. It was probably going to murk me. Everything was swell until I stared down the hallway and witnessed 3 animatronics at once. I then just went, okay, let's get to the office. I'm not doing this right now, and it was a good idea. However, Foxy was coming from the other side, and as you well know, he goes from the vents, not the doors. So as I closed the door, Foxy would infiltrate me through the vents, and that was the end of this attempt. Alright, we move on to our next attempt here, and this time around, I was feeling quite confident. I was staring down the hallway, just looking out for anything, and I saw something. Now, I'm not too sure what it even was, but something was there. I then heard some weird sounds starting to approach me, so I just went back toward the office and shut the door. However, just as I went back to close the door, some random entity would put an end to my night. What is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? Bro. It's like a purple Fredbear, and definitely this isn't something that's on the stage, so I have no idea what would have caused this. But yeah, that happened, and we then moved into attempt 5, and yeah, things are not looking too good in this game. This attempt, I went back to my original strat, staying inside the office and, well, trying not to get jump scared. Things were working quite nicely until I managed to get Freddy into my office. I then opened the door and tried to loop Freddy in the vents, thinking it's Dead by Daylight. However, this Freddy is not mucking around, and I would soon see why. Loki, I'm Hi. Hi. What's good? Oh my gosh. This is Dude, go away. Go away. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yo, I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm so dead. I'm so dead. I'm so dead. Bro, help me! Help me! Help me! Help me! Oh my god. 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 Oh! At this point, I genuinely did not see me even completing this game, as there was simply too much randomness that this game had. So I decided to put the fries in the bag and absolutely just stop attempting this game. Honestly though, it was a blast to play and by far had me surprised and shocked with the amount of random stuff that's in this game. But yeah, with that, let's move on to our next game in the video. Alright, so moving on, this game is called Fazbear Night 2. Quaesitor Mortis. Yeah, guys, I possibly butchered that, but anyways, this game is a free roam FNAF game, and I've actually played this game before. However, it was about a year and a half ago, and since then, a lot of things have changed. Most importantly, the version I'm playing is a completely new build of the game. In fact, it is now in a new beta state and, well, there's a lot of things that have changed since the last time I've played. So with that, let's hop straight into the game. So we begin night 1, which is titled Here We Are. The objective is quite simple. Enter and explore every single room in the pizzeria. Oh, my favorite. I'm going to be coming here a lot, I can't lie actually. If I roll 3 sevens, I reckon I beat the game. So off the bat, I'm going ahead and going to every single place, checking out all the beautiful stuff to see, and already I can tell that this place looks a lot different to what I remember a year and a half ago when I first played this game. The map is a little bit different in terms of the locations. I mean, already the spawn area is a lot different. I then went up to the animatronics and saw all of them in their glory, and especially this animatronic, which looks extra good in this game. I then went toward the office to check out what I'm dealing with, and yeah, this is not FNAF 2, but I kind of like the new look. But yeah, possibly won't end up going to this joint because I possibly won't be in the office for long, because there's not really any escape areas beside, you know, you getting destroyed by an animatronic. And we explored some new rooms that they added, including a extra office for some reason. There's a kitchen now where the party rooms were, and there's also a storage room. There's actually multiple of these, which was interesting. The Kids Cove is also expanded, so you can see Balloon Boy. I didn't really want to see that, but I did. So yeah, all right. So we got Mangle's little room here, which and Balloon Boy. Oh, look at this guy, looking puntable than ever. And then we have Mangle, and there's also a way to get toward the back of the front stage where you can get right up and close to the animatronics. I am not going here. And the last spot is the outside area, which is very unique. I have never seen this in a FNAF 2 remake. All these rooms are nice and dandy, but let's get into the actual gameplay, which I'm sure you're all wanting to hear about. I was just running around aimlessly checking where to go. And then all of a sudden, I hear a sound and see a door shut. I'm thinking, that wasn't me. Who the f was that? So that's nice. Whoa, 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 whoa. What just happened? Oh, it's the big man himself. It's the big man himself. Bro, what the f... Okay, so the night already began. What is that? What? He's so quick. And with a little bit of investigating skills in that I walked toward that door and I saw Toy Freddy, who is now missing its eyes and is running around the place like a headless chook. So this is not a good start. I was already contemplating if I should even continue playing because I was already myself. But I took a deep breath and looked toward him. And he suddenly stopped and stared at me. I think Freddy was eyeing me down, seeing if I was a good meal because, I mean, he looks hungry. I just stood there and stared at him. And then, what do you know? He just ran away. I was like, okay, all is well. And that was last time I'd see Freddy. Until I saw him again. Dude, what? Oh, go away. I went too close to him. I went way too close to him, man. And this time, it wasn't how I expected I would see him. Off the bat, this was unexpected. Seeing Toy Freddy act like it was in night 1 was very strange, to say the least. Attempt number 2 was roughly the same. I just made it my mission to check every single room off the bat because I did spend a bunch of time on my first attempt kind of, you know, checking stuff, seeing what's up. But this time I'm like, okay, we're checking every single room and we're getting the f*** out of here. With that mindset in check, this night went a lot better. I went toward the office because I thought I'd be safe here. And we actually can wind the music box in the office, which is pretty insane if you ask me. And I was checking the cameras, you know, just seeing what's up. And then I see Toy Freddy and he begins to move around the place. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm used to this. Nothing to worry about. That is until he made a dart toward the office. I'm not joking. He was on the other side of the pizzeria. And then the next second he was running full speed toward me. I dropped what I was doing and immediately got out of my seat. What is that? That is terrifying. Oh my, Bro, why is he moving like that? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Where did he go? Dude, I don't know where he is. Oh! No! I then tried to look for Freddy, but I could not find him. And it's safe to say, where the f is Freddy? And then all of a sudden, I open the door and then he's there waiting for me. So already Night 1 has taken me 3 attempts, which is honestly insane. But this third attempt was different. I was ready to go after Freddy. I was not going to let him come toward me. I was going to go toward him. This mindset was actually quite smart because Freddy kind of becomes a little bit iffy when you stare at him. And what happened this attempt is when Freddy ran around, I stared at him and he stood there and did not move for the entire night. So I pretty much just had him there standing like a mannequin. Well, if he ain't gonna move, then I'm gonna stand here and just stare at him because, hey, I'm chilling. So, Freddy, we can just stare at each other, okay? We can do this all night if we wanted to. But see, I have better things to do on my evening. So, if you want, you can just head back straight to where you came from. All right. Well, looks like we're just having a staring contest. I see you, Freddy Fazbear. I see you. And as soon as I knew it, I was out of the building unscathed. And with that, we move into night 2, which is called Deja Vu. Now, this night is a little bit different to night 1 in many ways. The first way is the objective, and we now have to go ahead and move 10 boxes outside the pizzeria. These boxes are located just pretty much anywhere, and one thing I will say is grabbing these boxes, it is quite slow. You don't really move quick with the box in your hand, so you're basically grabbing the box and slowly walking outside, which if you don't know, the outside section is the other side of the pizzeria. This is overall going to be quite challenging, as the boxes can be as far as the parts and service room. And not only that, but this night we have a few new animatronics to welcome. The first of these being Toy Chica, who is in her own way a very unique animatronic. She is basically free roam and will only go towards you if you go around the map and interact with one of her cupcakes. These cupcakes act as alarms for Chica, where she will go ahead and check that area. Bro, Alright. Ah! And if you manage to go toward that area and she goes to you, yeah, you're dead. And another thing is Chica is quite strange. She will sometimes lock onto you and sometimes won't even know if you're right next to her. I believe she's blind, or in some case doesn't actually know where you are and will kind of just walk into your pathing. And moving on, we have Mangle, who is very similar to, I guess, Sinister Turmoil, if you've ever played that game. She's a free roam animatronic and has a very clear area where she will be looking at. Oh, not Freddy, not Freddy, not Freddy, not... Yeah, okay. If you go inside this area and she sees you, then you have to run because she's gonna chase after you. Mangle does make the night a little bit more complicated, as with 3 animatronics already running around, it's safe to say we're not gonna be just cruising through this night. And then lastly, we have Balloon Boy, who doesn't actually do much besides just follow the player. I didn't notice Balloon Boy take my flashlight, so I'm honestly confused if maybe the mechanic isn't already working for the animatronic. But enough said, those 3 are the main threats, and I'm gonna keep it a buck. This night was really hard. Trying to grab all these crates and leaving the pizzeria did take so much time, and I would get to about 5 or 6 crates, maybe 7, but I'd get to those amount of crates, and by that point the night has already passed and I've been swarmed by animatronics. So that was very much a massive problem. However, this night is quite strange, as sometimes if you spawn in, the objective can actually change. The other objective I am saying is the trash bag objective, where you have to collect and put away 13 trash bags. This objective is actually easier than the other one, as you can hold up to 2 bags at a time, and instead of going outside the pizzeria, you simply have to go to one of the many rubbish bins across the, well, building. This is, in my opinion, a lot easier and was by far the objective I would stick to. Bruh. Oh my gosh. Every single time you spawn in, however, it is random which objective you got, so I simply just kept restarting until I would grab the trash bag objective. And once I got the trash bag objective, it was then time to try and actually attempt the challenge. My runs were quite interesting. Majority of them were pretty unsuccessful. Basically, what would happen 90% of the time is I would grab half the trash bags, and then either I would get tracked down by a animatronic, or I would just get hunted by Toy Freddy. All in all, it was pretty brutal. However, I was determined to beat this night. And after a couple of attempts, about 2 hours of gameplay, I would get a pretty good run. I managed to grab all the bags pretty early on, because at this point I knew basically where they all spawned, and it was simply time to survive till 6 AM. I stayed in the office trying to just see where everything was, but after the last attempt where Toy Freddy attacked me from the office, I thought maybe I should actually run around and hope for the best. So I made the decision to just go around the place and try not to get jump scared. Honestly, it wasn't as bad as I thought, as soon as I knew it, it was already 5 AM, and all I had to do was simply exit the pizzeria. So I made a dash for it, trying to ignore all the animatronics and just focusing on the objective at hand. I made it outside, however, Toy Freddy would approach me. Thankfully though, it didn't go toward me, instead it would back off as I managed to scare it. And as 6 AM hit, I would manage to exit this pizzeria and putting an end to this game. This game is in a very early state, and already there's a bunch of really good signs that this game's going to be an absolute blast. I really love Toy Freddy's mechanic, and honestly, he's by far my favorite animatronic in this game. If I'm gonna give some critique, I'd say Toy Chica should be a little bit tuned. Like when the cupcake alerts Chica, I think just let Chica just roam and track the player down instead of having her like kind of not know where you are. But yeah, with that, let's hop into our final game of the video. Okay, so moving on to our last game of the video, the scariest motherfucking game of this video, I've said that twice, is called Banshee. Now, fellas, what is Banshee? Now, what does the word Banshee mean? Well, it's a noun that means this: a female spirit in Gaelic folklore believed to presage by wailing a death in a family. Just pause for a second, that is the meaning of the game. I think it's safe to say we're gonna shit our pants. So we begin this game in what appears to be an ocean. The ocean is vast and doesn't seem to have an end. This is by far the strangest, I would say, opening title sequence I've ever seen for a FNAF fan game. By pressing play, we get a quick rundown on the events of, well, FNAF. The lore is very nicely typed up on our screen, telling us about William and Henry and how they are now really bad enemies, but mainly the events of FNAF 1 to 5. And that begins the game, and oh my, what am I looking at? This is the new Scrap Trap. Whoa, what the what? Sorry, I am staring at it, and it looks genuinely disturbing. The thing I hate about this design and what makes it so terrifying is the level of detail that was put into Scrap Trap. I can see that this is an actual human being, because the original Scrap Trap, and I can't lie, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but this is tenfold a massive improvement to that original design from Scott. But enough of that aside, we are now given the task by Henry Emily to salvage the animatronic, and why am I so excited? This is a terrifying thing to do. We are given a EMF reader, but we have to go ahead and play this audio, which seems to somehow interact with the spirit inside the animatronic. Or here I could just say it just interacts with William, because I can clearly see him a lot. But yeah, this is basically what's causing the animatronic to agitate, and the EMF reader will tell us how agitated it is. And if it gets toward the red, we have to stop the audio immediately, because if we keep playing it, then we will get jump scared. Some other things to look out for is if the audio starts to glitch, this means the spirit is starting to awaken, which means we have to stop. Dude, what? Okay, go down, go down. That's a lot. That's a lot of spirit, man. I gotta lower that. Come on, lower up, lower up. This is not where I want to be, man. Every time we do this, we have to go on our computer and take down notes. This takes about 3 attempts, and after that, we complete the salvage. The salvage was very intense, as I had no idea on what I was meant to do. I just kept to my idea of playing the audio, checking my EMF, and taking notes whenever I could. This method of approach did get me through the salvage, however, there was a lot more questions than answers, I can assure you. We then get sent straight into the night, and wow, this is gonna be very interesting. Firstly, we have a computer system, which does actually allow us to type on our keyboard the commands on the computer in the game. I don't know why I'm mind blown by this, but I seriously really like how they've taken the more modern approach to how a surveillance system would work. I also noticed that on the computer screen on the left monitor, there's a handprint there. I didn't notice this at first. In fact, I've only now noticed this during me actually speaking. But yeah, very interesting stuff, I must say. But anyways, our main goal is to survive. We have a various amount of tasks to complete throughout the night. Now, these tasks do not have to be completed to get through the night. You are not punished by not doing them. The only thing that will happen is you will not grab any money, so you'll be broke. So on the flip side, the survival part is the part I'm gonna focus on, and also the task, because I did a few of them as well. Night 1 only has one animatronic threat, being Scraptrap. Scraptrap will move around the pizzeria, and you can see him on the camera system. Quick note, the commands to go through all of the desired features is for your cameras, you have to type CC. For the task, you just type task 1 and you will be able to do the task. But yeah, you can go through the camera system and Scraptrap will be there and you can easily find where he is. I was still getting used to the game's mechanics, which was very much a task in itself. Oh, hello. Bro, I hate the way he looks. He looks Hey, just check again. Got it. Got my task. Alright, I got one of the tasks done. I got task? Can I speak English? Throughout the night, Scraptrap will appear outside your door, and if this does happen, you have to immediately go and check on Scraptrap. If you do not do this, then you will get jump scared. So as soon as you see that tall motherfucking skeleton at your office, you're required to look at him. Also, looking at the design, he kind of looks like he wants to, you know, be chill with us, but at the same time, yeah, no. We also have to complete tasks which aren't that difficult. The first task is you simply have to find the difference in the 2 different texts on your computer screen. You have to go through each text and see if it's the correct thing, if it's matching. If it's not matching, you have to press N. By going through 8 successful attempts, you will have completed this task and you would move on to the next 3 tasks. Task 2 is just going through documents and you're basically disclosing them. If you actually accept the document, it will be like gone to the company, and by pressing no, it gets wiped. Some of these texts are pretty disturbing. It goes through the bad stuff with Fazbear Entertainment, which is a lot. Most importantly, I don't know, Springtrap, there being something in this back room, stuff like that. Nah, the company, we don't want that going to the public, so that gets wiped. And the last 2 tasks you can do is just, you have to match the text on your screen. The tasks don't sound hard on the surface, but with the imminent threats coming at you at all angles, it does make things very difficult. The last mechanic in the game is a very interesting one. Around the office, you will see papers, and these papers can occasionally change. If this does happen, you are required to close your eyes. By doing this, you get rid of the anomaly, and I assume this is because of the sheer amount of remnant inside the pizzeria. Because we have William, we have Charlotte, we have all the anomalies inside of Enid, which is basically all the sister location characters. Basically, this place is swarming with ghosts, which is what I believe is causing this disruption and is why we have to be on our absolute A game. But anyways, with that, that is all the mechanics for night 1. I would actually have a quite solid night 1 experience. In fact, I didn't get jump scared. To do this, I basically just kept checking Scrap Trap occasionally. I used the close my eye mechanic as much as possible, and this got me through night 1, no problems at all. And then night 1 ends, but things aren't over yet. Bro, what? What the f? I know you remember a ghost. I know you remember his house. This house. What's with the amount of, why is it always ocean in this game? There's just ocean this, ocean that. Oh, shit. Bro. Hey man, I'm sorry, alright? This was unexpected. Seeing this random entity appear and then absolute nothingness was something I was not expecting. We then get a short text to screen type of thing where we do see another ocean. Yeah, this game has something weird with its oceans, and the story it's trying to tell is derived from, I guess, this suffocating feeling. But I'm going to get into that more later. But basically, this is Mike and Evan, I believe, talking it out. And Evan is saying how, Mike, you're not really sad, you're just scared, which is why you're saying this to him. I find this very sad, this whole talk, as if you don't know the FNAF lore, this is brother to brother speaking. But yeah, with that, we move into our night 2, which does give us a new salvage. And yeah, it is Enid, and oh my, this is by far the most disturbing Enid I've ever seen in a FNAF game. Like, bro, like, this is insane. We can even see the other animatronic from Sister Location on Enid. Like, I don't know if this is Funtime Foxy, but we can see a face on its endo. But yeah, going through this with Enid was absolute nightmare fuel, as I was on edge, especially looking up and seeing this menacing character looking back at me. I would get through the salvage quite comfortably, although there were moments where I was very much second guessing if I should stop the audio. But yeah, that puts us straight into night 2, which is now going to be accompanied by 2 animatronics. Alright, second salvage. Who am I salvaging? What the f is that? Bro, I have to salvage that. Oh my god. What the f is that? Enid is an absolute menace, if I'm gonna put it lightly. At any stage throughout the night, Enid can appear in your right doorway. If Enid does this, you have to stop what you're doing and find him. Let's go. Whoa! I found him. Sound. Bro, audio, what the fuck? The reason being is Enid will have traveled somewhere throughout the location, and if you do not find exactly where he is and use the audio prompt, you will get jump scared. This is genuinely terrifying. Having to scroll through the cameras in search for Enid as you just barely get through this section is nightmare fuel. When we do find Enid, we have to type play, and this will get rid of the threat. This mixed with Scrap Trap makes night 2 a lot more difficult. And if I'm going to be real, getting through all the different tasks in this night, especially with all the tasks that I have to do to get my money up, well, things are going to get really crazy. I think getting used to Enid and how his mechanic worked this night was definitely the most challenging aspect. But eventually I would figure out how to actually deal with Enid, which made my experience a lot more smoother. I did have a few game overs with especially Enid being the biggest culprit of the night. But eventually I would get through night 2, and this would allow us to get toward night 3. I also managed to complete 3 tasks throughout the night, which I felt was very good, especially the fact that I knew nothing about this game beforehand. We have to do a new salvage, and this time we have Lefty, who is the new animatronic for this night. Lefty is so massive that you can barely even see its eyes. Getting through this salvage was very intense, as Lefty had a very high amount of spirit within it. And the EMF reader was getting to the red extremely quickly, which meant I had to be on my absolute A game. I would wait patiently and get through all the audio logs, which allowed me to salvage Lefty and would allow us to get into night 3. So with Lefty in the pizzeria, how does this animatronic work? Lefty will remain in cam 8, and you have to basically use the audio to push the animatronic back. Lefty is quite stubborn and will actually not sway from its path. If Lefty gets towards your office, there's nothing you can do to get rid of it. So it's similar to Freddy from FNAF 1, just keep it away as much as possible. However, the audio isn't just used for Lefty, it's also used for Enid. So night 3 is about using both audios and making sure that we have enough time to keep Lefty out of the office. Lefty has 3 stages, and as I said before, if it gets to cam 4, it's pretty much game over, as cam 4 is the office camera. We now have to deal with 3 animatronics, and the Lefty and Enid duo on the cameras was definitely not helping me at all. This night would take me upwards of 40 minutes. Attempts would go by, and I was genuinely questioning if I could even beat this night. But eventually I would just use the audio strictly on Lefty. I would only use the audio on Enid if, well, Enid appeared in my office, and beside that the audio was just used for Lefty. After multiple attempts, I would eventually beat night 3, and we would move into night 4. Before doing this, we have another salvage, and hello, Scrap Baby. This design is quite strange, as I'm getting more of the clown vibe, more so than the circus vibe. I know both could mean the same thing, but this definitely is giving me more of a clown look, and I can't lie, I really like this look. Firstly, you can see in the middle of Circus Baby or Scrap Trap, you can see the, I guess, lure system that it has. And in this game, it's just a massive box, which is very interesting, I must say. And I also like the expressionless look that this thing has. It's a lot different to how Scrap Baby looks in FNAF 6, how it looks more alive, more so than being a, I don't know, just box. But yeah, this salvage was unlike the others. Circus Baby was very much more aggressive than anything I've seen so far. And getting to the red was quite instant, so I had to really just log as much as possible and get out of this salvage quickly. There wasn't really much said than that, as I would beat the salvage and move straight into night 4. And now we have Circus Baby, who is actually a threat in the pizzeria. So the way Circus Baby works is it will start with Lefty on cam 8, and eventually it will make its way up to the camera 3 with Scrap Trap. When Scrap Baby gets to camera 3, it will do a move toward the office. You will see Scrap Baby at the top left of the office staring at you, and this on the first playthrough was very disturbing to see. I'm scared. She's here. What was that? Was she in my office? I swear she was in my office. What? This was quite a sight to see. Scrap Baby, you're quite a sight for sore eyes, I can't lie. But anyways, after that happens, Scrap Baby will move either to the left or to the right, and whichever way this thing goes, you have to go toward that area and close the door. And yeah, I forgot to mention, we have doors now. It would have been helpful having these a couple nights ago, but don't worry, they're very bad and barely work. So yeah, night 4 is definitely where things take a twist, as with all 4 animatronics, there is no room for error. We have to get through things quickly. And with the possibility of Scrap Baby being in the office when Enid appears is a very interesting dilemma, which will make things terrible. Just terrible. I've had moments where I've had 2 animatronics show up at once, and it's not a fun experience, especially managing Lefty as well. What I would do is I would make sure I knew where all 3 animatronics were. I would keep the audio on Lefty as much as possible, and when the night got to about 2 to 2:30, I would then switch to cam 7, trying to predict when Lefty moves, because when Lefty does move to camera 7, if I do not get the audio on Lefty, it will move straight to cam 4, pretty much putting an end to the night. So this is by far the most important part of the whole run right here. I managed to get Lefty on the camera 7, and this managed to get rid of it just enough so that by 5:30 I wouldn't have Lefty near or at the stage where it's gonna jump scare me. And by pushing Lefty back as much as possible, I would have the perfect advantage to beat this night. And wouldn't you know it, after using this strategy and basically trapping Lefty, I would make it through night 4 and move into the final night of the game. Oh, you're so... Yeah, man. That was... Oh, okay, we got through night 4. Beautiful stuff. What's going on? So we begin night 5, and as you can tell, where is Lefty? Lefty, for some reason, is not in the pizzeria on this night. I even tried looking at all the cameras, seeing if maybe he was hiding, but you seriously could not find this person. So we have only 3 animatronics in this night, which weirdly makes it easier than night 4. But yeah, night 5 was, I can't lie, not as hard as you may have thought. It's pretty much the same as night 3, but instead of Lefty you have Circus Baby. And honestly, I would get through night 5 quite comfortably, and I think this is the first time I've ever comfortably bet a night 5. Like, this was not hard at all. After we got through night 5, something strange happened. Everything cut off, and we see, for the last time, the ocean. We then get a message on the screen, and it seems that Henry is telling us that, well, Charlotte, being Henry's daughter, was missing during the last fire. As you can tell in the last, because in night 5, Lefty wasn't there, so what happened is Lefty must have escaped the pizzeria, perhaps knowing that Henry was going to use this as bait for all the animatronics. And not wanting to, I guess, be freed, she left the pizzeria in search for perhaps vengeance or something, I'm not too sure. But yeah, this is very interesting and a cool twist on the FNAF 6 story that I was not expecting. Henry then says, your efforts were valiant, however, this whole thing was a failure, as well the main purpose was to trap Charlotte. And with that, that is the end of Banshee. There are some other things in this game, like this whole tycoon section that I completely skipped. The reason I skipped this is I genuinely didn't know how to even use it. And every time I clicked the tycoon logo, I got sent to a different dimension where this weird entity would just sit there. But after beating the game, the entity strangely vanished. So I'm not too sure what this even means. However, going to the custom night, we actually see this entity as a playable character. And interestingly, it's the same entity at the beginning of the game on night 1, so I've no idea what this even means. It looks like Golden Freddy, but it could literally be any animatronic. And with that, those were all the games for this video. If you guys have enjoyed them, please smash a like. And if you are brand new to the channel here and want to see more content like this one, then smash the subscribe button to never miss out on a future upload. On screen here is a video where I beat the Fredbear mod on Hello Neighbor without getting jump scared. That video was actually quite brutal, I can't lie. But anyways, until next time, take it easy and goodbye.